Alright, today, upon request, we will be showing you how to use a targeting pod in order to drop guided bomb units. Uh, in this case, specifically the BGL 400 on the French Jaguar. Uh, Seeing as that is the only plane that I have a targeting pod unlocked so far, I cannot unfortunately show you how to set up a target point and carpet bomb an area using the targeting pod. Uh, Eventually, when I unlock the new A7 or the MiG-27K, I will put a video out and showing how to do that. But without further ado, let's go over some of the controls you will need to do this for yourself. So what you will need to start off is obviously you will need your switch secondary weapons. You will need fire secondary weapons. And I will always say that the new setup for switch primary, switch secondary, and fire primary, fire secondary weapons is better than the legacy controls, which I think are still on by default as of right now. Uh, with the legacy controls, you have to bind a key for every single type of weapon you have on board your aircraft for rockets, air-to-air missiles, air-to-ground missiles, bombs, guided bombs. It's just a hassle. So switching between your weapons and using one button to fire them all is much, much easier in my opinion. So uh, other controls you will need, obviously you'll need to be able to change your view, which I believe is in common setting, common, and no, it is not. Alright, well, change view is set to V by default. I don't know anybody would have changed that, so not that important. That's how you get into your targeting pod view. Uh, After that, you will need to go ahead and I'm drawing a blank. Oh, yes, sight stabilization. You will want to have your sight stabilization turned on and disabled. You use this for whenever you need to turn outbound after dropping your weapon. Your targeting pod can slew independently of your weapon, of course, of your plane, of course. So flying directly into SAMs is to be avoided if possible. So this will let you drop your weapon and then turn, preferably perpendicular to keep yourself within range of your targeting pod's lock distance. Okay, and you will. And that is just about all of the controls you will need. Um, yeah, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and demonstrate. Uh, Before we start, actually, one thing you will need to know is that these weapons, once, like I said, are unpowered. They are just, you know, bomb units. They don't have any propulsion like a rocket or a missile. So your range with these weapons is directly tied to how high and how fast you are. Using a GM62 on uh, the F4, if I'm going about 1,000 feet, 1,000 kilometers an hour at about 5,000 kilometers of altitude, 5,000 meters of altitude, I can get hits up to 20, 25 kilometers with that weapon. This weapon is a bit shorter ranged, so you will want to be within 15 to 20 kilometers if you're going sufficient about the same speed and about the same altitude. Um, that being said, these are also a bit different in the way that you have to drop them at relatively close to your intended target for them to capture the laser. Um, this is where, it's easier to just point the nose at the target and then drop. It's almost guaranteed at that point. But there is a part where if you were to drop it just at a horizontal flight, level flight, it would also capture the laser, but that without a CCRP indicator is much harder to do. So, with all of that talking out of the way, let's actually drop a bomb. So, I'm flying towards my target. I'm pretty high and I am relatively fast. I will go and switch my view to my targeting pod. I will hit my button for sight stabilization. My sight is now stabilized to the ground. I will wait to get in range of my target, and then I will hit my target point activation, which I covered in my previous tutorial. I have bound to T. So I'm still out of range. Whenever it is in range, it will make a solid box like that. At that point, I will turn my nose towards my target a bit. I've selected my guided bomb unit already. And I can drop and then turn outbound. My sight should say stabilized to the target. There's also keybind to turn on and off your laser designator. It turns on automatically by default. I don't see an issue with that. IRL, these lasers had a time limit for how long they could run before they would burn out. So you would typically laze for about 8 seconds before estimated time to impact. That is not a limitation in game, so there is no reason to turn it off. And what you want to do is try and keep your plane orbiting at about the right distance. And as you can see, we got a hit. And if you want to slew to a new target, you disable your target point. This is a bit difficult to do when you're not directly looking at the target. Try damn near impossible, actually. So what I'll do is I'll turn off my sight stabilization, and it's actually just turn back towards the target. Try to hit this AA. Okay, I've got my target locked. And I will just drop this, and let's just watch this one in the targeting pod. It may actually be short. I was not fast or high enough. It's trying to get there. Oh wow, this is actually going to make it. And there you go. Alright, that should be it for this. If you have any other questions, just, I guess, ask in the comments.